DCKO is finally over. We just got the fifth and final issue for the event, and that's what I'm going to be covering here today. If you have not read the other issues, if you don't know what's going on, I've made a video on each of them, so you can go check those out if you want to get caught up. But in the meantime, I'll do a quick little recap of what happened at the end of last issue. At the end of last issue, Lex Luthor betrayed Superman and he won. He became the King Omega, so he's the guy that's set up to get all the Omega energy and face Darkseid. That's how last issue ended. Now, this issue, now I'm getting into issue 5. Spoilers if you haven't read it. There's your warning. So we're going to get into issue 5 now. Issue 5 opens up with Lex being all, yeah, let's go, Darkseid. I'm ready. I'm the King Omega. Let's go. You want to surrender? And they're about to fight. And then we cut to Superman playing a board game. So throughout all these issues, we've had this sort of B plot of the Trinity. So Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman playing a board game at Superman's apartment. Lois is there, and they're all playing it. And you think it's like a flashback or something, the way it's set up. But in this issue, we see that as a separate little pocket timeline. That Time Trapper, who is a different, like, future version of Doomsday, that's had a big part in this event. He set up, he did that just in case to protect Superman, because he thought if anyone should be the King Omega, it's Superman. He's the one he trusts the most. So he set up this little pocket time dimension for that specifically, and it comes in handy since Superman lost at the end of last issue because he got stabbed in the back, well, shot in the back by Lex Luthor. So he's talking to Doomsday, and Doomsday's like, "Listen, I know now that we've been trapped in this cycle of death and rebirth for a long time, forever now, but now I realize that I'm here to help you, not destroy you, because of what happened in the events of Superman during these tie-ins." So if you haven't been reading the Superman title from Joshua Williamson, what's been going on over there is there's a Superman robot that has this information about Doomsday that's tied to Krypton, because that's where Doomsday comes from and what Doomsday's purpose is and all that. And the entire time throughout each issue, because it was pretty good, Joshua Williamson, I like him, and he's done a good job with Superman, with the Superman title, and what's been going over there with Superboy Prime and Lois Lane. I've been enjoying it, and I've liked it. It's been some of the better DCKO tie-ins. But the reveal of what the information the robot was holding was so lame and didn't really matter at all, because throughout every issue they're like, oh man, we got to get this robot to Superman needs to know this information is important. And then this last issue they get to Time Trapper, to Doomsday, and it's just Laura, who's Superman's birth mom from Krypton. She just says, hey Doomsday, you're supposed to help Superman, not hurt him, and that's it. That is the big reveal. That's the big whoa, that's what we needed to get to Superman. And it was like, well, that was kind of dumb. But other than that, those were some good comics. I enjoyed what Williamson did, but the reveal wasn't very interesting. Anyways, with that information, Doomsday now knows he's supposed to help Superman. So he says, I have not just Omega energy, but also Alpha energy in me, and that's how I continually come back. Because that's Doomsday's thing, is he continually comes back, and he can't be defeated the same way twice. And I guess that's now because he had Alpha and Omega energy, and so he gives Superman that, and so he brings Superman back into the tournament, and through bringing him back, that makes him the King Omega now, and Lex goes and loses because of that. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I'll get into it a little bit later about the rules and things and how this tournament ran that I thought was kind of stupid. But anyways, now Superman and Darkseid are fighting. Superman also takes the Heart of Apocalypse, which was hosting this tournament, and puts it inside himself, so he has it's his heart now. And so you continually get the Heart of Apocalypse dialogue like you've been getting throughout this entire event. And he's sort of coaching Superman as they fight, and they're fighting everywhere all at once. So they're fighting on Themyscira and on Oa and in the future and the past and everywhere, because Darkseid he's everywhere, and that's how it goes. And they're big now. They're big dudes punching each other. And it's kind of reminds me of the end of Dark Knight's Death Metal, where you had big Wonder Woman fight big Batman who laughs mixed with Dr. Manhattan. It's all right, I see what Scott Snyder likes to do. Get a whole lot of nothing words in this. There's a whole lot of filler. It feels like Scott Snyder was given a word count he had to hit, because I'm not that to say that it's bloated or anything like that. It's just when the whole time the Heart of Apocalypse is really describing the fight, it feels like none of these words matter. The way it's describing everything, it feels like nothing matters. It feels like it's just a bunch of nothingness. Every word it's saying, it's like this none of this needed to even be here. The way it's describing how they're hitting each other across universes, or how Superman is creating his universe because that's what the King Omega is supposed to do, or how he's going to the past and all this, like it just feels unnecessary and it just feels kind of stupid. And it does kind of remind me a bit of Dark Knight's Death Metal and the beginning of the event with the first issue, where Scott Snyder's getting into his cosmic gobbledygook, which I think is where he isn't too great as a writer. I like Scott Snyder a lot, but I feel like when he gets too big for his britches, it's bad. And that's what happens here. We get a lot of that, a lot of stupid stuff where it's like, I just don't care about any of this. But then we get to the end where Superman has been running through time, essentially running from Darkseid. Darkseid's more powerful than him, has been beating him up, and Superman goes back to the Big Bang. And in this, he's backs against the wall. He's in the Big Bang, and the Heart of Apocalypse is like, "What are you doing? You're cornered now." He's like, "This is what I wanted." So he absorbs like the energy from the Big Bang into himself, and so that allows him to be able to fight Darkseid. So now he fights Darkseid, and he's going to beat him. It's going to take like one more punch. He's like, "I could do it. I could beat him by myself." And the Heart of Apocalypse was like, "Yeah, you could. Go ahead, do it, and create your universe." Because the whole time he's been talking about how his universe is going to be better and how Superman, it will be created in Superman's image, so everything will be better. And before he strikes, he reaches into himself, he destroys the Heart of Apocalypse, and he's like, "I'm not giving up. I'm just calling in like my team or whatever." And he calls in everyone else from the tournament, and they come in and they fight Darkseid, and they end up just pushing him back. So Darkseid gets pushed back. He doesn't get defeated. So there's no new universe. There's nothing new created. I do like Superman talking about how this is too much power for one person to have, and that's exactly what Superman would say. So I like that, and that's what I thought. I predicted before this event started that I thought Superman would throw. I thought he would throw the tournament and try to figure out some other outside way to beat Darkseid, because when it was announced and they went through everything where it's like you gotta kill people and you gotta be more like Darkseid to win, it's like that's not Superman, so that doesn't make sense. So this entire event when he's been more like Darkseid, it's like this doesn't make sense. So at the end, at least they kind of pulled it through there. But they defeat Darkseid. Well, not defeat. They push him back, and then Superman says, "There's something I've got to do before I can come back to y'all," and he disappears, sort of like All-Star Superman style. He goes off and no one knows. And then we basically get an ad for the new like All In Part 2 or Act 2, whatever it's called, where we get two of my goats. We get Deathstroke and Jonah Hex, so I'm happy about that. Hopefully their books are good. Who knows? But seeing Jonah Hex in a comic makes me very happy, and I hope we get the creative team for that soon. And we get some setup for what's to come. Mr. Terrific says that an explosion at the site of the tournament imbued all those in the vicinity with a concentrated mass of both alpha and omega energy, and he doesn't let anyone know that, though. He says, "Until I know more," to restrict access, because he's like recording his personal journal there. And so we'll see what that means. It does, that reminds me a bit of the Absolute Power event, where at the end of that people's like power switched, and so there's like, here's a little different thing. So I guess some people will be powered up, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what that does. We also see that Booster Gold is set on going out and finding Superman, because Superman's the one who went to the Absolute Universe and found him and dragged him back. So that's what's going to be set up there. Also, Cyborg sets up something called like the Heart of Cyborg protocol, and then we see the Heart of Apocalypse start talking to Cyborg. So I guess he's somehow taken on the Heart of Apocalypse, which I guess makes sense because, since the New 52, he's been part with a mother box. So I guess that makes sense. We get a little bit of a tease also from the from Night Fight, if you read that spinoff from Williamson, Dan Mora, where Batman went and fought different versions of himself. We see a little bit of that as well. And we get even more teases after that. We get this little bit from Wes Craig on art, where we see Barry Allen, where I guess he was like the historian doing the new history of the DC Universe. I don't know. I read the first issue of the new history of the DC Universe, that book from Mark Waid, and I don't remember really anything of it, and I didn't read anything past that, so I don't know if Barry Allen was supposed to be the one doing that, but that's what it looks like here. And he's on there, and then looks like someone's talking to him. He's like, "There's a whole new chapter, and I didn't write this." And it says, "You forgot my real story. You left me behind. I did the right thing, and all of you took my world from me." And then his laptop like lights on fire and explodes. And then we see some like hand under the earth. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Also, I'm making this video at 2 a.m. so I might my brain's not all firing, so I might be missing something obvious here. I don't know if this I instantly went to the Spectre just because of the green I'm seeing, but I could be entirely wrong. I don't know. But then we go to Darkseid and we see that he, when he got pushed back, he's talking about how this doesn't matter. This is just a small setback. My absolute universe is still going well. Also, during this KO event, all these other universes had people fighting to try to generate Omega energy, and that's powering me. And this will be, and he's talking about how there will be a crisis of absolute proportions. So there's going to be an absolute crisis. Who would have thought? Wow, what a big shocker. We knew this was going to happen because they said before that KO was just like the in-between arc, was the second big event for this new, once All In happened. So All In was the first big event that they did as far as this new era, and that kickstarted with Darkseid dying and the absolute universe being created, and then KO is part 2, and then part 3 will be the absolute crisis. Now let's talk about DC KO. Now that it's ended, let's talk about like what happened and look in hindsight. So I think they kind of went about marketing it wrong in how they set this up, because the whole tournament thing made no sense. And the way they set everything up with the tournament, the bracket, because the bracket was just like a complete lie for the most part. And then any sort of rules they had didn't exist at all. I get it, it's a Darkseid tournament, so you lie and cheat and blah, blah. It's like, but still, like, it's kind of stupid from a reader's perspective, like what you did to the reader here. Because like we were sold one thing and then it's completely different. It's like, all right, well, Lex Luthor won, he lied and backstabbed and cheated to win. But then Superman gets brought back from a separate time pocket from Doomsday did that, and now Lex loses because of that. What? That doesn't make any sense. Why would the Heart of Apocalypse be like, all right, well, Lex doesn't win then because Superman's back? It doesn't make any sense. They didn't fight. Like, Superman didn't come back and fight him. Like, it didn't make any sense there. I thought that was kind of stupid. Now, I will say the issue was gorgeous. It was a great looking issue with Javi Fernandez and Hermancio doing the art, and of course Wes Craig at the very end there. So it looked very nice, and the series as a whole looked really nice. But overall, this event, now that I'm at the end of it, really feels like what was even the point? We sidelined several books. Like Aquaman got hit hard by this series. Superman got set in a different direction by this series. It's like, what? It felt like we didn't need all of this just for this. Like the big thing that happened is that Superman's going to go away for a while now. I don't know how long he's going to go away, but he's going away for a little bit. Superboy Prime's going to be taking over the main Superman book, and we're getting a whole like Superboy thing. We're getting several things throughout the Superman books. So that's like the main thing that was set up from this, but this whole event just feels like it wasn't really necessary or needed. I was hoping it was just going to be a fun beat 'em up event, and it had some of that. And I enjoyed I enjoyed all the prior issues. I just kind of feel like it ended in a dud. I I didn't really care for this final issue. It made the whole event feel kind of pointless. And I don't know, I didn't really care for it. And it really makes me upset with all those tie-ins and books that got derailed by it. I think that was kind of stupid. So that being said, it's way better than what's going on with Marvel's Endgame. So at least there's that. But that's, the bar's on the floor there. So not much to clear that. But yeah, that's basically how I feel about KO. I was enjoying the ride, but the ending was not it for me. It didn't land, but I am excited for these upcoming books that we have with especially Deathstroke and Jonah Hex and Lobo. I'm really excited for those, and I'm interested to see what Jeff Lemire does with Firestorm. I believe he's on Firestorm. So there's some cool looking books, and hopefully they actually have readers and they stick around. They don't get canceled immediately. That would be cool. But anyways, yeah, that's basically it. I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What did you think of DC KO now that it's all over? I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see y'all later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.